of the day here in Margate, hoping the rain stays away because we've got to get in a concert by this guy. This is an important concert because it's his first time, in spite of dozens of top 20 hits and being one of the most influential singers, songwriters, and producers of the 60s and 70s. Never played Atlantic City.
No, I haven't.
No, Johnny Rivers, welcome.
Yeah, you can't play everywhere, I guess. But
yeah, but
I've never been around here. I've played in New Jersey before, but not.
We did a thing
not
up at the Count Basie Theater with the E Street Band.
Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, I think Jimmy Webb is going to be down here with us tonight. He's going to come sit in with us.
Oh, cool! Yeah. From the Fab Four.
Yeah, and he was there with that band as well that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why haven't we seen you here? Is it just timing, luck, or what?
I don't know. Who knows? I get that a lot. Because there's so many places in this country. Yep. I mean, I've played most of them, but some places I've missed. And so who knows? You're getting a lot of them.
Closing in on, I hate to say it, 50 years in the business.
No, it's longer than that,
actually.
Yeah. I actually joined the Musicians Union in Baton Rouge in 1957.
So you were 15 years old?
14 years old.
14 years
old. My band, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so
back then you had to audition. They had to see that you could really play.
And you could really play.
Before they let you in the union.
So you always knew that this was your future. Music was your future.
Well, I mean, I didn't know what the future would hold, but it was all I could do, and it was all I ever wanted to do. So I've actually never done anything else. I'm pretty fortunate to be able to make a living doing what you've always wanted to do.
Have you ever thought about that? Like, geez, if I hadn't done music.
Well, I mean, my father was a musician. My dad played guitar and mandolin, so I had a musical influence around the house, and stuff. So, but still, it's just it's not an easy business to be in, and especially to survive in all these years, So I feel fortunate to be able to do that.
Well, would it be fair to say that one of the reasons you were able to survive is because you could go behind the desk and produce, even though when you produced, you still played?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's just, I think one of the reasons is that I haven't burned myself out on the road, in bus tours and things like that. I just mainly go out on weekends, Friday and Saturday night, and then go right back home. And I don't, I do maybe a couple of weekends a month or something like that. So you can't stay on the road. I mean, it's taken a toll on too many.
I was going to say,
musicians.
Look how many great musicians just got burned out, after a few years on the road, and
exactly,
aren't doing it anymore. Your music has been inexorably woven into the soundtrack of an entire generation, and it still holds up today. Were you thinking about longevity when you were writing and producing some of these songs?
Not really. I mean, it's just that I've been fortunate enough to be able to pick some good songs. A lot of them are old traditional blues songs like Midnight Special and Seventh Son and Mountain of Love and things like that. Even Secret Agent Man's pretty much a blues song. It's been a phenomenon because it's been in so many movies and commercials and television shows and all that stuff.
It was a secret agent hit, wasn't it? I mean, because
the record was a hit, but besides that, it's just even just recently it was in Bowfinger, and then The Spy Next Door with Jackie Chan, and opened and closed that movie.
And commercials.
A bunch of commercials, Walmart, and Chase Bank. I mean, just
when you wrote the song existed kind of like as a 1 minute tune to open a TV show
called Danger Man.
Right,
Roger McGowan, yeah.
Right. And then there was a big clamor from the radio stations saying they wanted.
So I had to go back in and cut it. We had to write more verses and stuff like that. So we were going to cut it again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you have any idea that song was going to have the legs?
No. I mean, but again, we didn't know. No one would think that James Bond movies would survive as long as they have. It's just really even the guitar riff is a steal from the James Bond theme.
Secret agent man, secret agent man, they've given you a number and taken away your name.
Did that come to you easy, that riff?
Well, we worked at it, but it was I always kind of worked on guitar riffs, for the intros to my songs and stuff. I think a lot of them were kind of hooky, like Memphis and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, most of your hits, except for Poor Side of Town, your hits were all covers, weren't they? Or just about all of them?
Yeah, pretty much.
But in a lot of cases, though, your cover charted higher than the originals, didn't it?
I guess. I'm not sure.
Well, we checked, and they did. They did. Well, what is that? I mean, what does that say for what you brought to the song? I mean, did you find something that nobody else had found?
I don't know. Just people were attracted to the way I did them. It was my own interpretation of the songs, and people liked it. So I don't have a secret formula.
well, like Midnight Special had been covered by plenty of people before you and plenty of people after you. Yet yours is one a lot of people keep coming back to. Yours and Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Right, they did it as well. It's a Leadbelly, I think, wrote it originally, and it's pretty much become a public domain song. But we've done it different ways. We've got a new arrangement on it we're doing tonight. So it's one of those fun songs to play.
There's a legend behind the origins of that song with Leadbelly, isn't there?
Yeah, it's about when he was in prison. The legend was the Midnight Special was a train with a headlight that would come by at midnight, and if the folklore was that if the light hit your prison cell window, you'd get a pardon in the morning. That's why it let the Midnight Special shine its 7-11 light on me.
I wonder how many people had that light hit their cell.
Probably not that many.
It didn't happen to Leadbelly.
It's like trying to hit the lottery.
Poor Side of Town was your only #1 hit on Billboard, and it's a song you wrote. Did that surprise you that something you wrote could hit #1 because everything else had been like #2? Just got there.
I've always written a lot of songs, and we knew that was a good song, and it was different. It was either going to be a big hit or a total flop because it was so different from everything we had done. And fortunately, it was really well accepted. Different sound because we had strings and added strings to it and all that. Marty Page did a really nice job arranging it. We kind of stayed with that sound after that. We used it on Baby I Need Your Lovin' and Tracks of My Tears, Summer Rain, and then Slow Dancing.
It was interesting when you started covering some of the Motown songs that you were covering them when they were still in the charts with the original artist.
Almost. I think my Baby I Need Your Love was about a year and a half after the Four Tops, but it was so different.
Where does your music tend to take you these days? I mean, what are you writing? What are you producing?
Well, I'm kind of working on an acoustic blues album, really, with a lot of acoustic guitars and dobros and things like that. And I'm going to play a couple of them on the show tonight. And that's what we're doing. I'm putting them on as bonus tracks. I have a Greatest Hits album now. It's called Greatest Hits and More. And the and more are these acoustic blues songs. People really like them. So eventually I'll put out an album of all that once I get enough songs cut.
You're sitting in the car and you're dialing in music. I don't know whether you have Sirius or just an FM or sliding a CD or using an MP3 player, but you gravitate toward jazz, don't you? You like jazz.
Well, I am a big jazz fan. Yeah, I listen to jazz stations a lot.
Mm-hmm. But you don't necessarily play it or record it?
No, I'm not a jazz player, but I like listening to it. I appreciate jazz players and their ability, and their sound, their tone, and the fact that they can take these old standards and play some really nice stuff around it. I really like that, but I wouldn't attempt it myself.
Is there any desire for you to just give it a?
No, I wouldn't even try.
Really?
Closest I come to that is playing like a little blues. Blues is part of jazz. That's about it.
You had a particularly close friendship with George Harrison. I know you were friendly with the Beatles, but you were close with George.
Well, yeah, because we were guitar players and we admired a lot of the same people like Carl Perkins and people like that. As a matter of fact, George and I both spoke at Carl's funeral, and I did a lot of gigs with Carl. But yeah, we had a lot of guitar players in common and a lot of old blues guys that we liked, Elmore James and people like that we like to listen to.
Back in the day, when you were getting friendly with the Beatles, there was that undeclared war, the British versus the Americans and everything. Was that more of a media invention than something real? I mean, I know that the Beatles and a lot of those British artists really admired the Americans. They were influenced by American artists.
That's exactly who they were influenced by. The Beatles loved, Buddy Holly and the Everly Brothers, and of course Elvis and Chuck Berry. No, it was great. They were wonderful for pop music. They gave rock and roll a shot in the arm and brought it all back. And it was fortunate for me because when they came, it was at the same time as I was starting at the Whiskey and Memphis and I Want to Hold Your Hand were on the charts about the same time.
Your Whiskey A Go-Go sessions have become like almost legendary. You did a lot of live recordings, and then you take them back into the studio and sweeten them up a little bit.
Yeah, because we only had 3 tracks. There was only enough to mic the instruments and my vocal, and we although when you were there was a great reaction from the audience and clapping and singing, but we didn't get it on tape. So we had to go back in the studio and bring in some friends and stuff and clap and have them sing along to kind of enhance. but they were just really pretty much following what you could barely hear was there from.
But nobody had been
leakage.
doing that up until that point. What gave you the idea to, you know?
Well, no, people had done live albums. I mean, Stevie Wonder had a big live album, and Trini Lopez had one, you know. So I know it had been done, but there was the whole thing of, you know, the Whiskey A Go-Go was just a kind of a special place, and with a lot of celebrities and movie stars and stuff like that. It was a happening thing, and it got the whole West Coast rock thing going.
Lost in all of the hype over the success of your music over the years, to a lot of people, is the fact that you were a very successful producer at a very early age. If there hadn't been a Johnny Rivers, there may not have been a Fifth Dimension. How did you end up, you know, finding them and signing them?
Actually, I was introduced to him by their manager, a guy named Mark Gordon, and I had just met Jimmy Webb at that time. So we all got together, and we had a great stash of songs, Up and Away, and all of those tunes that Jimmy was writing, and the Fifth Dimension was so talented, and it was just a pretty easy thing to do. I used a lot of the same musicians and engineer and stuff that I used on my own stuff, and Bones Howe took over because I didn't have the time to continue producing them. I was behind on my own commitment, you know, for records, and so I turned them over to Bones, who did a great job producing them and stuff.
And yet, when you were producing, you were also playing on some of their.
Yeah, I played on some on the album I produced. I played on some of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Johnny, I know you got a show to get ready.
Yeah,
for
I got to
tonight.
get going.
Headline the Margate Rock Festival, which is a benefit a fundraiser for the Gold Foundation. Real quick, how does that feel to you, know, when you're coming in here to a market for the first time and helping out an organization that spreads the money around the community?
Well, good. It's a good cause, and I hope we do well tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
As long as we can dodge the raindrops.
Yeah.
Thanks. Continued success.
Georgia in 1964. My baby, she buried down, please don't go. But I